It is incredibly important in a musical to not only have your audience be engaged, but to have them so in it that they need to know what's going to happen next. Creating suspense can be difficult to do in any genre or medium, but in musical theater, it does tend to feel particularly difficult. And a lot of writers don't put too much time and energy into creating and building suspense, either because they're not entirely sure how to do it, or they don't think it's that important for musicals. I mean, musicals are all just like sparkles and dancing and catchy tunes, right? Well, sure, if you want your show to be fluffy and surface level and not make your audience buy in or care. But if you're here on this channel with me, then I don't think that is the vibe that you are going for. So what exactly is it that helps create suspense? Let's first talk about what a lot of people see as the major issue or big problem when it comes to creating suspense in a musical. The audience in a musical likes to be ahead of the characters on stage. They like to know more than them, see what is likely coming down the pike for them, see where we are potentially collectively headed, and to be at least a step or two ahead of those characters. Do you see the issue? If being ahead of the characters is indeed a built-in staple of the medium, which it is, then how can we create suspense for the audience? Technically true, but there's a very important something that is missing. But we'll come back to that in a second. Because what even is the definition of suspense in storytelling? We haven't defined it yet. Suspense is when tension holds our attention between one moment and another. It's a device that creates a feeling of excited or anxious uncertainty about what will happen next. Or you could say that it's the audience's excited anticipation about the plot or conflict. Those are three separate definitions that I found pertaining to storytelling, but I think they're all hitting on the same major thing. Suspense occurs when we set something up to happen, but then it hasn't quite happened yet. It's a bit like potential energy. Now, remember when I said that being ahead of the characters on stage does seem to technically make it so suspense is impossible, but that wasn't entirely true? And then I said that we would circle back around to why that's not entirely true? Suspense. I set up an expectation that I would provide the answer with stakes attached because you want to know, and then I didn't deliver it right away. I made you wait, and technically speaking, I'm still making you wait because I haven't said it yet. But this device of setting something up that the audience knows will be responded to eventually and then making them wait for it, that is a classic way to build suspense. But if we were going to apply what I said earlier about the audience being a couple steps ahead, it might look something like this. Barb is in desperate need of something that is going to fundamentally change her life. We as an audience know that there's another character, let's call her Sue, who has exactly what Barb needs, but Barb does not yet know that Sue exists. Our story brains tell us that Barb is somehow going to find or meet Sue at some point, which means that we know something that they don't know. When Barb finishes her want song about this thing and then triumphantly ends the scene by leaving to go in search of it, we then instead cut to our B plot, which involves two entirely different characters besides Barb and Sue. So instead of following through immediately on Barb's journey to meet Sue, because we know that she's gonna meet Sue at some point, we instead make the audience wait. Suspense. This idea of setting up an expectation and then making the audience wait for it is also built directly into songwriting for musical theater as well. But before we get there, I do want to mention the other advantage that we have in terms of the audience being a couple steps ahead of the characters on stage. Also, allow me to provide a little extra suspense here as I tell you that you should definitely come join us in the Musical Theater Writing Collective community. It's a lovely group of people. We're so nerdy. We talk about all this stuff all the time. We do feedback, we do events. It's wonderful, tons of resources, more resources coming. Come join us. So if you're interested, there's a link in the description below. Click through and see if we're right for you. We probably are. You should come join us. And we're back. So here's that other advantage that I had just mentioned. When the audience knows where we are headed, we have to / get to leave out one critical piece of information: how it happens. Yes, Barb and Sue will indeed meet, but how? Will there be a classic meet cute, bumping into one another on the street? Will Barb be told by someone about Sue's store, which she's never heard of before? Will they match on a dating app? I don't know, stop asking. There's a billion possibilities, right? The audience may know the what, but by withholding the how, we create suspense and delight. And by the time you deliver to the audience the how of it all, you've already set up the next sets of expectations to follow up on. Musicals require you to have multiple open loops at once, so that as you close one loop, there's already more stuff that they're interested in seeing how it progresses. This is what gives them satisfaction without losing interest in what happens next. You close one loop for satisfaction, you have the others open for the anticipation, the suspense of it all. Now let's circle back briefly to what I said about expectations and songwriting. For all of you out there who avoid song structures like it's your job, you are not going to like what I'm about to say. One of the reasons that song structures work so well in musical theater is that they allow you to set up a set of expectations in a musicalized section, so that when you come back around to that section later on, you are going to then fulfill the expectations that you set up in the template of the first time we heard the section. For a small example, when you write a great hook for your song, the audience is going to be itching to hear that hook again. They'll be anticipating its return. This can generally apply to melodies as well. If you've written something particularly tuneful, the audience is going to be waiting until they get to hear it again. Suspense! But this can also work with lyrical constructions. If you create a template for a section, like an A section, with a certain set of rhymes, turns of phrases, opposites, alliteration, scansion choices, then we are going to anticipate the return of all those lyrical concepts again when we next hear that A section. We know the what, we just don't know the how. It's the same thing for joke moments in songs. We will know that there's going to be a joke coming, but we don't know how it's going to be delivered. And I know that song structures can be difficult to master and aren't always something that people want to explore, but they are incredibly important and useful to creating suspense. So if you want to learn more about them and level up your songwriting suspense game, then you should watch this video next. Otherwise, thank you all for being here with me today, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers!